Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of F1 Career Mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day as we pick up the final half of our rookie season here behind the wheel of our Williams F1 car, as everybody's been bringing in some upgrades except for Haas and Mercedes into this wet start to a Silverstone British Grand Prix weekend here. A big weekend for some drivers' home race, of course, for the likes of Mercedes with Lewis Hamilton, George Russell as their drivers. Of course, not just them being the only British drivers, Lando Norris as well. You got to factor him in. We had some news this weekend here at home in the British Grand Prix. It was announced that Formula 2 star Ollie Bearman is going to be behind the wheel of a Haas F1 car next season. As we do know already, Nico Hülkenberg, he is going to be leaving the Haas team and he will be heading to Sauber, replacing either Devin Butler, who's competing against myself for Rookie of the Year, or Valtteri Bottas. But there's also been some rumors that Sebastian Vettel well, we already know he's looking to return to Formula 1, but the rumors are he could be heading to Sauber a season before Audi comes in and takes control of that team, which would line up perfectly for Sebastian Vettel. But we'll have to wait and see what happens there. We are coming off of a very large break between episodes. I apologize. I got sick, as you guys knew, and it took definitely longer for me to recover than I expected, but then after that I came back. But then it just getting back into the swing of things and finding the time, because it's been a very busy period, it was hard to finally get back going. But we're back into the grind, and hopefully we can get things back to on track, I should say, and get it to where things need to be as we come through into qualifying this weekend. Our future in Formula 1 still, not sure exactly where it relies. We are a Ferrari Academy driver. We're looking to, of course, get a ride with Ferrari at some point. But right now we do know, going into the future, Ollie Bearman just getting announced coming in F1 is certainly not great for myself. We know Lewis Hamilton's going to Ferrari next season. Leclerc's not going anywhere. And I feel like it could be between myself and Bearman really for a ride at Ferrari in another couple seasons time. But what do we do in that couple seasons time is the big question here. Now, do we stay with Williams on loan from Ferrari? What happens? Well, first thing that happens is we outqualify our teammate of Albon, who ends up P17, a rough Q1 exit for him. Meanwhile, we're up in P11 as we come through into now Q2, looking for the same pace to carry over, as we've been having a very strong start to the weekend so far, and it continues into this fortunately dry and sunny Saturday for myself now as we come through Sector 1 and towards the end of Sector 2, and things were looking pretty good as we come through Copse, going a little bit wide, having to lift to make sure I don't invalidate my lap time on the strict corner cutting rules that we use. I got through the S's a little bit rough too, so I definitely gave up probably a good 3-4 tenths of a second, I feel like, over the course of just those two sections that you saw right there as we come through towards the tail end of the lap. Hamilton only P11. Meanwhile, Sergio Perez in 12th place, not looking so hot right now as we round the last couple of corners to the line, and it's going to be P9, and it would not stick. We end up P12 as Casper Ackerman in his final Grand Prix here in Silverstone. P10 is Perez down in 15th in the Red Bull. A disaster for him as he's got some work to do going into Sunday as Verstappen looks to lead the field to green potentially.
Welcome to not only the home of British motorsport, but also the birthplace of the Formula 1 World Championship. It's race day here at Silverstone, a classic on the calendar, and it's time for the British Grand Prix. The 3.6 mile long Silverstone circuit is one of the longest of the season, with 18 corners in the current layout. With average lap speeds reaching around 145 miles per hour, it's also one of the quickest tracks of the year. Watch out for cars taking the right-handers of Abbey and of Copse flat out. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Verstappen, Sainz, Norris, Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Ackerman, Butler, Golden Boy, Ricciardo, Gasly, Perez, Ocon, Albon, Hülkenberg, Bottas and Yuki Tsunoda. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
It's a British front row lockout here in the Silverstone British Grand Prix. Hamilton on pole over his teammate of George Russell. We're on the mediums to hards, one-stop strategy. Let's get ready to go racing.
Here we go then, and we're off for the formation lap here at Silverstone, dubbed the home of British motor racing. Now, while the layout of this circuit has changed on numerous occasions, the spirit of the track that hosted the very first Formula One World Championship Grand Prix still very much prevails. As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
Right, Gary, home race for our team. Make us proud.
Yeah, 10-4. Let's have a good one, guys, and work our way forward. I think we have a top 10 car if things kind of work out the way we hope it will. So we're ready to go racing here from Silverstone, lining up directly behind that Sauber kick of Devin Butler. There's Yuki Tsunoda just behind in the V-Carb as well. The Alpines lining up. Daniel Ricciardo all the way at the back of the grid with Valtteri Bottas. Devin Butler's really been stepping up over the course of the recent Grand Prix as a Formula One rookie now. Sorry, that's Ricciardo just behind us, not Yuki Tsunoda, as we are ready to race. It's a Mercedes front row lockout as we're lights out and racing. A poor start from Ackerman in the Haas. We sweep around him, take the position, and Lewis Hamilton leads the way through turn one. Verstappen a little bit further down the order now as it's wheel to wheel. There's Lando Norris getting in front of the Ferrari now, and there's Verstappen sandwiched in between the Ferraris of Sainz as well as Leclerc. But actually, how about Oscar Piastri getting the elbows out going forward as well as we continue on our way? And you got the pair of Aston Martins, Fernando Alonso, Lance Stroll, fellow Canadian there, a few spots in front of myself. I was also able to get past Devin Butler, Sergio Perez, a lot of work to be done for him. Nico Hulkenberg just down the order as well. Our teammate of Albon, some ground to make up early on, but it's Lewis Hamilton in control right off the bat here now as we actually get a warning for exceeding track limits, but we enter the points into the top 10 on this opening of 26 laps of racing here from Silverstone. Plenty of racing on the way here now as we're already under pressure from Devin Butler here now, one of the home drivers of course in the field now, as we have 4 British drivers with Hamilton, Russell, Norris, and then Devin Butler next season we know a 5th on the way for sure, Ollie Bearman, but as well rumored potentially to be replacing Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes, who's going to Ferrari as an up-and-comer in the Mercedes stable, another British driver of Aiden Jackson. We'll have to wait and see how that continues to develop now as we continue to already lose time to the cars in front, and here comes Devin Butler on lap 2 showing the nose up the inside, and I didn't feel like I had enough to really fight him. He's on a slower compound tire, he's on the hards, I'm on the mediums. This really shouldn't be happening, but I found myself struggling to have the pace that Butler had, as already up front we've got battles. George Russell putting the pressure on Hamilton for the leads, wheel to wheel as they head into this final sector. Now Norris in third, a second behind Sainz, Verstappen to follow in 4th and 5th. Contact there, Russell and Hamilton collide. You saw the contact there, maybe some damage to George Russell's wing. We'll have to wait and see what happens there now as we continue under pressure right now from Sergio Perez, who should be able to pass us sometime throughout this lap. Now lap 3, DRS of course is enabled on top of that here as we continue on, and you can see on the first opportunity with the DRS, Perez up the inside, not going to fight a inevitable situation. Perez, of course, is going to get us in the long run, so we just let him have it and we will settle in behind. So down to 12th place, just in front of the Haas of Casper Ackerman. Daniel Ricciardo in 14th. He's going in the wrong direction early on. Now yellow flags here laid on in lap 3, and it's Pierre Gasly. Gasly on the Alpine. It's not been a great season for the French team, and Gasly now out of the British Grand Prix as we continue on under green flag conditions. As that was happening, Lewis Hamilton now looking for a move. He passes back for the lead over George Russell, who jumps down into second. Both of these drivers looking for a home win. Russell's had a very solid season. Meanwhile, Hamilton, his highlight was his second place a few rounds ago, and he's looking to get to the top step of the podium here at home in Silverstone. Is it finally his time in his final season for Mercedes before making a monumental leap to the Italian team at Ferrari now as we continue to trail the cars in front. Butler with a lockup here on lap 4. That opens the door for Sergio Perez. Now the Mexican tries to keep it around the outside of the Brit. Can he make it happen? I think he will, but hold on. We have an opportunity here. They slow each other down going side by side. We're going to show the nose. 3 wide up the inside here as we all drag race into the corner. I back out of it there. I only had about half a car length up the side of them. That really wouldn't have been a smart move to keep my nose in it. So we back out of it. We let things happen. Perez through into P10. Butler down to 11th. Myself, we maintain P12, but the battles are continuing up front. How about Carlos Sainz breezing past the McLaren of Norris? And here comes Verstappen, the championship leader. 3 consecutive world titles, looking to make it 4. He goes around his good friend of Lando Norris, and Norris drops down into the 5th position. I myself, relatively content with the pace here. I was a little bit concerned after the first couple of laps because, I mean, we were, dropping back there. Butler ran us down, drove past us, but we seem to be holding our own now as Russell is starting to drop back. You can see the gap between him and Hamilton, and now here comes Sainz, who continues to work his way forward, and he is going to be able to cruise around potentially the outside on the hard compound tire. There we go, into P2, and Russell is struggling for some pace suddenly, and I think he's going to continue to drop down the order here. Now I have a 2-second gap to Casper Ackerman. Ricciardo's 2.2 seconds back, so trying to keep them at bay, but it did start to seem like maybe these mediums here about lap 6, lap 7 area are starting to fade a little bit. My contact with Butler is starting to diminish as well. Russell continues to struggle. There's Verstappen. He's going to go around the outside now, and actually a bit of contact there. It seems like Russell's really struggling right now to get that car to turn, which makes me think he might have some minor wing damage there on the nose. As we continue in the 12th spot, Ackerman and Ricciardo actually battling behind us, which is helping us a little bit on time, and we would increase the gap actually to 3 seconds to Ackerman, 5 full seconds to Ricciardo, and still within DRS of Devin Butler, so we're still doing a good job holding our own. Nearly got caught for track limits right there, but Carlos Sainz has run down Lewis Hamilton, and into turn 1 he's going to send it up the inside. What a move from the Spaniard. Who knows? Hey, I'm losing my ride to you at the end of this season. I'm still fighting for my career in Formula 1. He got the elbows out. Sainz to the lead of the British Grand Prix, the home, of course, of where he picked up his first win in Formula 1 a few years ago. Wow, this is happening. Norris is going for a move, a bold one on Russell. He moves back into 4th as Russell continues to struggle. You can see that downforce is not there, and Piastri now is going to look for the move. The Monaco Grand Prix winner is going to go around on the left side and continue to follow Lando Norris. 4th and 5th for McLaren, but Hamilton wasn't done. A move into Copse, and that's the frightening one when Lewis Hamilton's coming up your inside into that corner now, of course, we all know. And now Max Verstappen is going to pounce on it. He's up into the mix. What a drive from Verstappen, who was 1/5, and now looking for potentially the lead. Hamilton, Sainz, what a battle this is here in the British Grand Prix, but now Verstappen gets blocked by Hamilton, who goes left. Verstappen goes right. Sainz can't do anything. He's defenseless in the middle, but Verstappen goes through from 3rd to 1st in a matter of seconds. Hamilton maintains 2nd position. We continue in P12. After all this great racing's happening, we're just doing the same thing, maintaining the 12th position. I don't have a car, quick enough to go up and get to the Aston Martins of Stroll, and Alonso is actually running a few spots better. Russell is now down to 8th position. He is not having a good day here now. Meanwhile, Butler is starting to increase the gap as my mediums are starting to fade. Ackerman is starting to reel me in as well, and Albon's moving forward. He's up into 14th. He's 4.4 seconds behind me, and I think he's honestly a little bit quicker than myself at this stage in the races. My pace seems to be fading now, and this is going to be a trend I think we see for the rest of the race, and this is Hamilton fighting with Verstappen. Sainz a little bit further back there, still within DRS of them, but Hamilton was practically bump drafting NASCAR style, and there we goes through on the inside back to the lead, but these two are going to continue to swap for sure. But the pit window is pretty well open now. Daniel Ricciardo has already made a pit stop. I believe he came in for a wing change, so completely off cycle, potentially either a wing change or maybe a 2-stop strategy for the Australian now, whose future in Formula 1, just like real life, at this point in the season, a bit uncertain here now, as at the end of lap 12, here comes Hamilton and Verstappen. We will be pitting as well at the conclusion conclusion of the same lap that they are coming in. So Hamilton, he comes in, gets hards on. Verstappen's going to get on front of Hamilton. That's going to be big right there. As that was happening, we were rounding the final few corners to come into the pit lane ourselves. So of course we started on the mediums just like Verstappen, and Hamilton will be going on to the hard compound tire. A very slow pit lane here in Silverstone. You're down to about 37 miles per hour. We come in and we'll get these mediums off, get the hard compound tire on. A competitive 2.3 second pit stop, and so far a very solid clean race for the team, for myself. Albon's moving his way forward. We'll see what happens when he makes his pit stop here momentarily as well. I'm just really happy with how this is going so far, but my one concern was that at the tail end of that run right there before I pitted, my pace was starting to fade a little bit, so I'm hoping that's not something that continues. But the end of lap 14, lap 13, starting 14, will breeze around several drivers, of course, including our teammate of Alex Albon. Ricciardo not far behind, but Albon has cut the gap now. It was over 4 seconds, now it's under 3 seconds between myself and Albon, so that's interesting to pay attention to here now. As another lap later we'll get back into really our actual correct position, which is sure enough P12. But look at the gap to Butler, who's on a tire that's going to be quicker than us, nearly 2 seconds. Albon's the next car just about behind me. He's fighting with Ricciardo, but he's closing in quick. He's now just over a second behind. Meanwhile, Hamilton looking to return to the lead of the Grand Prix, and it's not going to be difficult for him. He breezes past Verstappen. Back out front goes Lewis Hamilton. So you can see as well there was a side-by-side battle there in the background with the Aston Martin and the McLaren of Lando Norris, but nonetheless George Russell P10 as now Albon has run us down.
Okay, Alex is faster. Please make it easy on him here.
I just don't understand where the pace is. I mean, I've got nothing all of a sudden. It could just simply be the worn parts that we have on the engine, because my pace is falling off a cliff. Here comes Albon. I'm not going to make it easy, or sorry, not going to make it hard. I am going to make it easy because I've got nothing for him. He goes by on the inside, and yeah, I mean, I've got nothing. Ackerman 1.8 seconds behind and closing as well.
Tell him thanks. I'll keep him in the DRS as long as I can.
You hear the Albon radio saying he's going to keep us in the DRS as long as he can. But how long is that going to last? Because I'm just struggling for pace. You can see, I mean, right now the gap is right about a second, but fortunately I'm still barely in DRS, while Ackerman has cut the gap down to half a second, and he was stalking me on lap 17, 10 laps ago, coming to 9 at this point here, and it's Hamilton and Verstappen, a runaway for them. Meanwhile, Norris in third as they all continue to fight from third on back. I mean, it's a whole train of cars there, all right on top of each other, as I'm continuously just trying to hold off Ackerman and maintain DRS to Albon, but it was right here where I would officially fall out of range and not be able to recollect it, and now Albon's going to run away, and we will continue to struggle as we head down towards comps now. And Casper Ackerman in his final season of Formula 1, he's right on the back of us now, looking to the right side, and the Haas is going to go wheel to wheel down towards the S's. We back out of it there, just not enough pace in this car, and we struggle through the S's now as we continue to watch the Haas drive off in the distance. The Dutchman now going to try and run down our teammate of Alex Albon as we come to lap 19. Esteban Ocon 2 seconds back, Hulkenberg 2.6 seconds back, and I continue to grow my concern now as Ackerman as well is closing in on Albon as we come up on the final 7 laps of this Grand Prix. We're going to go through the grid as Lewis Hamilton looks for his first win of the season.
Lewis Hamilton continues out in front with Verstappen trailing just behind, well within DRS range of the 7-time champion.
Unfortunately for Lewis, I think Max has him right where he wants him here. Max is just waiting for the right time to strike. How about young Fernando Alonso having a great run today in 5th?
It's not been an easy year for Aston Martin, but Fernando is certainly putting together a spectacular performance here. Carlos Sainz just in front, who had a great start to the race, but has slowly faded. Ferrari struggling a bit for pace this weekend. It looks like, Ted.
Yeah, guys, I was talking to some engineers at Ferrari yesterday, and they said they are just lacking some pace this weekend. It's been a struggle for the Italian team. How about Devon Butler, by the way? He's within distance of some points in a very solid performance on home soil.
How about George Russell, Ted? Anything on his status?
They are pretty quiet, but I can confirm they did not change his wing during the pit stop, leading me to believe there must be something else not right with that car currently.
All right, thanks, Ted. There you see a look at one of the Haas cars. That team just announced that Ollie Bearman will be driving for them next year. So our first rookie of 2025 has been confirmed.
I'm looking forward to seeing what the young prospect can do. I think maybe that puts some pressure on Owen in the Williams as well, as now he will have to fight another Ferrari prospect for a future ride.
A miserable Grand Prix for Daniel Ricciardo at the back of the grid. Hamilton back out in front, but him and Verstappen have been going back and forth a lot. But look at the gap to Albon. 4 seconds it increased to in the through the grid segment, while Ackerman passed him and drove away just about as well. But Albon might be able to get him at the end of this Grand Prix on that hard compound tire, as Hülkenberg and Tsunoda and Ocon, all three of them have run us down in the final 5 laps of this race. It's going to be a battle between us 4 drivers here now as we maintain position in P14. Hülkenberg now putting some pressure on us, however, as we round the S's, and I just know I don't have anything. Here comes Hülkenberg in the Haas. He's going to go to the left side of the track. Tsunoda just behind now, and Hülkenberg goes through into P14. The struggle, the frustration continues. Where did the pace go that we had early in the Grand Prix? Now as we go wide, and that leaves the door open for Tsunoda now, who's going to go around the outside. The Japanese driver into P15. The Frenchman of Ocon tried to sneak his nose into it. I shut the door on that one, however. We continue on here now with 4 laps remaining, and I'm just contemplating everything at this point. Do we pit, try to go for a fastest lap? We're falling off a cliff. Do we have anything to lose? At this point, though, deciding to remain on the racetrack and just see what we can do from P16. Cars around us all on mediums, fresher and quicker rubber here now, and you can see Hülkenberg battling with Tsunoda. This is our opportunity to get back up into the battle right here now, just hoping I can maintain DRS on these guys, of course. Now that's going to be our fighting chance, as now you can see Hülkenberg stays in front of the V-carb now. 15th for Tsunoda, down to 16th for myself. So frustrating as Albon continues to fight with Ackerman now, as look at this battle here with 3 to go. Tsunoda, my goodness, close call there, and he shuts the door on myself. We tried to get our nose just sneakily into that hole, couldn't quite make it work. We maintain P16 as Ocon just behind, but the battles in front continue. Hülkenberg slow, a chance to maybe look up the inside, coming to 2 to go. It would have been a desperate move to go up the inside there, so we settle in, but we get a poor exit. Here comes Esteban Ocon. He can't do anything. He was not able to pounce on it. He maintains P17 just behind myself. We are hustling this car around this racetrack here in these closing laps, hoping for the best. Meanwhile, Hamilton and Verstappen, they are approaching now the final lap of the British Grand Prix, and Hamilton is in P1 over Verstappen. Sainz in 3rd, and then it's Norris in 4th. Perez as well in P5 as we start the final lap. A very solid recovery drive from Perez in the Red Bull as well, who started outside of the points. A frustrating end for myself as we went in the wrong direction, and we still have to hold off Esteban Ocon. Meanwhile, Hamilton through comps in front of Verstappen, who's going to make the move on this final lap into the S's wheel to wheel. These two, of course, what a history they have. Verstappen gets the job done, and he was behind Hamilton at the DRS detection point, so he's going to have DRS. That rear wing wide open. He's stolen one potentially. Hamilton slipstreaming. He's not got enough as he pulls out of the draft. Verstappen in position, in control through the final few corners. He's absolutely robbed Hamilton on this final lap, and it's going to be short again for the 7-time world champion. Verstappen, a 3-time looking for 4, rounds the final few turns. Verstappen wins again and steals it from Hamilton on home soil.
Wow, that was exciting. Let's go, guys. Thank you.
Verstappen will be thrilled, Hamilton will be devastated, and so will Mercedes now, as here comes Esteban Ocon looking for a move now into the S's. Will be wheel to wheel with the Frenchman. We're not going to back out of this one, but he's going to get us anyways. But hold on, we will have DRS, but I think Ocon will as well. Yes, he will. He had DRS from me, I had DRS from Hülkenberg. Slipstreaming, pulling to the left. We've got one opportunity. They're side by side in front of us. Who's going to be able to make this stick? We keep it around the outside, near contact there, but we maintain clean racing into the final few corners. It's going to be wheel to wheel right to the end with Esteban Ocon through the right-hander. Contact, he goes wide. We slide. We save it. We continue on. Ocon's going to get P16 after the contact. P17 and a disappointing downfall in the final half of the British Grand Prix. I don't even want to talk about who's at fault there. I don't know what happened. What a disappointing end, guys. I'm so sorry.
No pace at the end there, Gary. I don't know what went wrong. We will bounce back from this.
Plenty plenty of action here at Silverstone, a memorable race and an impressive victory.
A disappointing end for us. I mean, some standouts. Butler ran a great race and scored points. Sergio Perez with a great drive outside of the points into the top 5. Verstappen, who was, 5th early on, was able to carve his way through traffic, and it didn't take him very long either, and got into the fight for the victory. You have to feel for Lewis Hamilton, of course, coming up short at his home race after starting starting the final lap and first, leading 3/4 of that final lap. It's just absolutely devastating there for the 7-time champ. Carlos Sainz on the podium, but we're going to hear from Lewis Hamilton.
Devastating, to be honest. I thought we had it. That's the way the sport is, though. We're going to keep fighting hard.
You hear Lewis Hamilton as he has to watch Max Verstappen raise the winning trophy as we watch the celebration. Verstappen, of course, extends his championship gap. Perez continues to come under some pressure from other drivers in the standings. He started out the season hot, won a Grand Prix as well, but definitely is starting to come under pressure, like I said, from other guys in the standings like a Leclerc. Of course, George Russell, who ended up P11. Butler ended up P9. What a drive to score 2 points for Butler, and that hurts us as a team. In the constructors, Albon ended up P13, but look at the standings here now. Stroll in P10, Butler is up to P15, and more importantly, as we wrap up the episode, we're down to last in the constructors as Sauber has now got 4 points to the name due to Devin Butler's scoring points today. That's going to wrap it up for me. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.